Peace be upon you, my friends. How are you? Today I have a new video on my channel. Please subscribe, like, and comment to receive all that is new. This channel contains movies and series. Please subscribe.
The world cracked. East against West, economic rivalry, political suspicion, whispers of war grew into a storm. No one could escape the coming darkness. Europe, a fortress of technology and tradition, China, a rising dragon of ambition and might. Their destinies intertwined, now locked in a deadly embrace. The future uncertain, the past a fading memory. Captain Laurent, weary eyes reflecting the horrors he'd seen. The weight of command bore heavily on his shoulders, each decision a potential death sentence for the men he led. The once vibrant and hopeful young officer had been replaced by a man aged beyond his years, his spirit eroded by the relentless grind of war. The trenches were his home now, the mud his constant companion. The stench of decay and the ever-present threat of enemy fire were the backdrop to his existence. Days blurred into nights, and the concept of time lost all meaning. The camaraderie of his fellow soldiers was a thin lifeline in the sea of despair, but even that was often shattered by the brutal reality of war. But the real battle raged within. The memories of fallen comrades haunted his dreams, their faces a constant reminder of the cost of conflict. Guilt gnawed at him, a relentless spectre that whispered of his failures and questioned his worth. Each day was a struggle to maintain his sanity, to find a reason to keep fighting. Letters from home, filled with forced cheer and unspoken fear. They were a lifeline to a world that seemed increasingly distant, a world where life continued despite the chaos of the front. His wife's words were a balm to his soul, yet they also carried the weight of her own suffering. She tried to be strong for him, but he could read between the lines, sensing her anxiety and the strain of raising their child alone. His wife, Marie, her face a fading memory. The photograph he carried was worn from constant handling, a tangible connection to a life that felt like a distant dream. He clung to the hope that he would see her again, that they would rebuild their lives once the war was over. But as the days turned into months, that hope grew dimmer, overshadowed by the relentless march of conflict, his little Jean taking his first steps without his father to witness them. The milestones of his child's life were passing by, each one a reminder of what he was missing. The thought of his son growing up without him was a constant ache, a wound that never healed. He dreamed of the day he could hold his boy, tell him stories and be the father he longed to be. Each explosion, a hammer blow to his soul, the deafening roar of artillery, the ground shaking beneath his feet, the screams of the wounded and dying. These were the sounds that filled his days and nights. Each blast was a reminder of the fragility of life, a stark contrast to the quiet moments he cherished in his memories, each death a piece of himself chipped away. The loss of his comrades was a burden he carried with him, their absence a void that could never be filled. He mourned them in silence, his grief a private torment. The faces of the fallen haunted him, their voices echoing in his mind, a constant reminder of the price of war. Was this the price of peace? The devastation around him seemed endless, a landscape scarred by conflict and loss. He questioned the purpose of it all, the justification for such suffering. The ideals he once believed in felt hollow in the face of the overwhelming destruction. He wondered if there could ever be a true end to the violence, if peace was a dream that would forever elude them. Was any cause worth this sacrifice? The weight of his doubts pressed heavily on him, each day a struggle to find meaning in the chaos. He grappled with the morality of his actions, the justification for the lives lost under his command. The war had changed him, reshaped his beliefs, and left him questioning everything he once held dear. In the end, he could only hope that his sacrifices would not be in vain, that the world would find a way to heal from the wounds of war. Across the battlefield another soldier moved, May, young, fierce, a shadow in the night. Hers was a secret war fought in the whispers of the wind, a mission entrusted to her by the dragon: infiltrate, observe, report. Every step a risk, every breath a prayer to ancestors she no longer understood. She carried no rifle, but her words were weapons. Information, the lifeblood of war, flowed through her like a deadly current. Cities lay in ruins, once proud monuments reduced to rubble. The air thick with smoke, the streets littered with debris. This was the new landscape of war. Families torn apart, seeking shelter in the bombed-out shells of their former lives. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, fear etched on their faces. The lucky ones had fled, becoming refugees in their own land. But even escape offered little solace, only the cold comfort of survival. "Papa, I'm hungry," a child's voice, small and lost in the vastness of destruction. The words echoed through the empty streets, bouncing off the crumbling walls and shattered windows. The child's eyes, wide and innocent, searched for a sign of hope, a glimmer of something to hold on to in the midst of chaos. But all around there was only silence and the distant rumble of conflict. A mother, her face etched with despair, could only offer a hollow comfort. "Soon, little one, soon." She whispered the words, but they felt like ashes in her mouth. Her arms, once strong and full of life, now trembled as she held her child close, shielding him from the harsh reality that surrounded them. The promise of food, of safety, seemed like a distant dream, fading with each passing day. But the promise rang hollow even to her own ears. She knew the chances of finding sustenance were slim, and the weight of that knowledge pressed heavily on her heart. The world they once knew had crumbled, leaving behind only fragments of memories and a relentless struggle for survival. Each day was a battle, not just against the physical dangers, but against the creeping despair that threatened to consume them. Hope, a fragile flame, flickered precariously in the darkness. It was a small, almost imperceptible light, but it was all they had. In the midst of the ruins, it was the only thing that kept them moving forward, one step at a time. The candle's flame danced in the cold air, a symbol of resilience and the unyielding human spirit. Even in the darkest times, hope refused to be extinguished. In the ruins of a bombed-out church, a young soldier, barely a man, clutched a faded photograph. The image was worn and creased, a testament to the many times it had been held, looked at and cried over. It was a picture of his brother, taken before the war had torn their lives apart. The soldier's eyes, filled with a mixture of sorrow and determination, lingered on the smiling face, frozen in time. His brother, his smile frozen in time. The photograph was a lifeline, a connection to a past that seemed almost unreal now. It reminded him of better days, of laughter and love, of a world that had once been full of promise. But now it was a stark reminder of all that had been lost. The soldier's heart ached with the weight of memories and the pain of separation. "Forgive me," he whispered, his voice choked with tears. The words were meant for his brother, for the family he had left behind, for the innocence that had been shattered. He felt the burden of guilt, the crushing weight of survival in a world that had lost its way. The tears flowed freely, mingling with the dust and grime of the ruins. In that moment, he was just a boy, lost and broken, searching for redemption in a landscape of despair. Section 6. The language of loss. Torn photographs. These fragments of memories, once cherished, now lay in pieces, scattered like the lives they represent. Each torn edge tells a story of separation, of longing, and of the cruel hand of fate that tore families apart. The photographs, now faded and worn, are silent witnesses to the love and joy that once was, now overshadowed by the pain of loss. Letters, stained with tears and blood. These letters, written in moments of hope and despair, carry the weight of emotions too heavy to bear. The ink, smudged by tears, speaks of nights spent in worry and fear. The bloodstains, a stark reminder of the ultimate sacrifice, mark the end of dreams and the beginning of sorrow. Each word, each sentence, a testament to the human spirit's resilience and the heartache of those left behind. A child's drawing clutched in the lifeless hand of a soldier, this simple piece of art created with innocent hands now serves as a poignant symbol of what was lost. The bright colors and joyful scenes stand in stark contrast to the grim reality of war. It is a heartbreaking reminder of the future that was stolen, the dreams that will never be realized. The drawing, now crumpled and dirty, is a silent cry for peace in a world torn apart by conflict. These were the true relics of war, not the medals or the monuments, but the personal items left behind. Each relic a piece of someone's life, a fragment of their story. These items, now abandoned and forgotten, once held great significance. They are the echoes of lives interrupted, of futures that will never come to pass. The true cost of war is not measured in victories or defeats, but in the lives forever changed, the stories left unfinished. Flags, once symbols of pride and unity, now lay tattered and forgotten in the mud. These flags, once flown high with honor, now lie discarded, their colors faded and their fabric torn. They are a stark reminder of the ideals that were fought for and the harsh reality of what was lost. The mud that covers them is a symbol of the blood and tears shed, the sacrifices made. These flags, now mere rags, tell the story of a nation's struggle and the heavy price of freedom. The environment itself bore the scars of conflict, poisoned and broken. The world had changed. The once fertile lands, now barren and lifeless, are a testament to the destructive power of war. The rivers, once clear and pure, now run red with the blood of the fallen. The air, thick with the smoke of battle, carries the scent of death and decay. This is the new reality, a world forever altered by the ravages of war. The land, once a source of life and sustenance, now a graveyard of dreams and hopes. Innocence lost, replaced by a weariness that ran deeper than bone. The eyes of the survivors, once bright with hope, now reflect the horrors they have witnessed. The children, who should be playing and laughing, now carry the weight of the world on their small shoulders. Their faces, etched with lines of worry and fear, tell the story of a generation that has seen too much too soon. The weariness is not just physical, but a deep, soul-crushing fatigue that comes from living through unimaginable pain and loss. Was this the legacy of their generation? A legacy of pain and loss, of dreams shattered and lives destroyed. The soldiers, who once fought with courage and determination, now stand in silence, reflecting on the cost of their actions. The battlefield, now quiet, is a stark reminder of the lives lost and the futures that will never be. This is the true legacy of war, a legacy that will be remembered for generations to come. The question remains, was it worth it? But even in the darkest night, a single star can offer guidance. Amidst the ruins, acts of kindness bloomed like fragile flowers. A soldier shared his meager rations with a starving family. A doctor working tirelessly in a bombed-out hospital offered a glimmer of hope. Love, too, found a way. In the ruins of a shattered world, hearts still reached out, seeking solace and connection. The war finally ended. A fragile peace settled over the ravaged land, but the echoes of conflict lingered, etched on the souls of those who had lived through it. Captain Laurent returned home, a stranger to his own family. The war had changed him, left him haunted by memories he couldn't outrun. May disappeared back into the shadows, her mission complete. But the faces of the people she had encountered, their resilience and their suffering, remained with her. The world rebuilt. Slowly, tentatively, life began anew, but the scars of war remained, a reminder of the cost of hatred and division. But from the ashes of destruction, something else emerged, a profound understanding of the preciousness of peace, the enduring power of love, and the ever-present shadow of fear. These were the true legacies of war, passed down through generations.
Before the end of the video, I ask you to subscribe to the channel to receive all new updates. My friends, please support me